Hello everyone and welcome to the Enemies Elliot, and thank you for joining me as we talk about the new power, the hidden flaw and the hidden flaw story arcs within the Tower of God webtoon series. However, before we dive into the virtual world, let's talk about the events that transpire on the train after leaving the Floor of Death. Now that Rachel has been bestowed a new power, courtesy of Hungsang, Bam starts to feel the power of the Red Tessera, and Wangnam confronts Karaka about his ring. So this is where I want to start off the video by talking about today, as that teasing of information presented to us in the conversation between Wangnam and Karaka really did help get me interested in what revelations could be revealed later on down the line. However, at this moment in time, Karaka is remaining tight-lipped as Wangnam can't present his ring to prove that he also possesses one just like Karaka does. Meaning that the only information that we get given in this arc is from Wangnam himself, which leads to a rather emotional backstory, seeing how he grew up with a nanny-like figure, who, at the end of her life, Wangnam viewed as a mother. She would always encourage him and inspire him to never give up on anything that he strives towards, always calling him Prince. He wanted to live up to her expectations. So it's only natural that when a young Wangnam would kind of view this lady as a mother-like figure, and the revelation that she only saw him as the king's seed. When that hit him at the final moments of her life, we saw that emotional impact just come out of Wangnam, and I really did like that, because it adds more mystery surrounding the person that raised Wangnam, as well as the person who visited Wangnam. But at the same time, it shows more vulnerability from Wangnam's character when he was younger, as well as the fact is, kind of expands on his character, gives us something that we as fans have been wanting for a long time. And that is the history of Wangnam, which we don't get fully explained here, but we get a little tease just to kind of dip our toes in the water. We're switching over to Bam's group. Rachel awakens with her new power gifted by Hungsang, a flying ray-like creature which protects Rachel from any hostile enemies/attacks. But the thing that I found more interesting was how quickly Bam managed to feel the presence of his new power that he obtained after leaving the Floor of Death. I do think it's a little bit too early, but at the same time, it's not like he has full control over this new power and he's not using it to his advantage every time he goes into a battle. So, I mean, we still have room for him to develop and grow later on down the road for him to get accustomed to that power and may really make it his own. Plus, it's still something that's unexplored at the moment. We don't ultimately know everything about the power that Heljo possessed, and we know that it was part of the administrator of the floor there, but at the same time, there's got to be more mystery surrounded by it, or more to it, basically. And lastly, what could have Maisonneau's assistant meant when he said, "That boy surely is ... Could they know something about Bam's past, or a connection to V, perhaps? After all, we don't know how long Ulrich Maisonneuve and his assistant have been inside the tower. I personally do think, though, that they just noticed the power that he obtained from Heljo, but nevertheless, it's still something very interesting and something to kind of think about later on, seeing if it plays a part in future arcs, which I'm pretty sure it will, but just a really cool line there. Now it's time to jump into the hidden flaw as the group gets separated and the cast look into the King's Cradle, a mirror/scales-like object that sees into their past, thus giving our heroes their sworn enemies. Now these sworn enemies appear in front of them if the hidden flaw sees that a correction in the balance needs to be made. Now these can occur in many different ways. If your meter fills up with darkness and you kind of do bad deeds and this keeps on being created, the hidden flaw will send their sworn enemy to you to kind of set that correction. These sworn enemies will actually get the urge to kill their host/masters. So if Bam's sworn enemy gets set upon him, then of course Bam's sworn enemy is going to relentlessly attack him until Bam is no longer. Another way you can build up your dark meter or get your sworn enemy to attack you is by simply acting threatening to the lives of those that are data on the hidden floor or just the floor itself. Now we don't get to see everyone's sworn enemy this time around. Rak manages to create an enemy which he's never seen before, or faced, in fact. A strange sea-like serpent creature with skin that not even Rak's new spear can break through. Well, Bam summons himself as his sworn enemy. This was great to see and works really well in having Viole appear again. This acts as a reflection of Bam's self, perhaps a version of himself that kind of carries a lot of negative memories for Bam as a character. This is a persona that was created in that time where he was trapped in fog, alone and away from all things that he loved, those that he cares about. Seeing Bam's reluctancy to kill his sworn enemy, being that it basically is himself, I thought was rather fitting for Bam's character, as maybe he realizes why it was summoned as his sworn enemy. Which factors into his desire to not kill it, despite being told that the sworn enemies are always going to return no matter how many times you take them out. So if Bam wants to kill himself just once, or his sworn enemy once, then it wouldn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But it's the principle that matters to Bam. That's why he can't see himself, be killed. And Dorsey's sworn enemy is rather interesting, as it seems to hold no ill intentions towards her, like the other sworn enemies currently do. It's merely wanting to help get rid of any obstacles within the princess's way. A very creepy yet cool design follows this creature as well. Hopefully we do learn a bit more about this sworn enemy in the future, as it's very intelligent on the surface level. Calling Hungsang Yu out on his actions, stating that from his point of view, Hungsang Yu's been treating this whole ordeal as a game. His desires / actions to want to save all of the Data's people within the quarantine area is just a way for Hungsang Yu to make the game harder and more rewarding once he managed to get them all out of there. So, all in all, the sworn enemies that we currently get to see from this arc so far, I've really enjoyed, and hopefully we do get more interactions between them, because at this moment in time, Bam's sworn enemy has been taken down by a big explosion, and Dorsey is travelling with hers, which is rather curious, and Rax obviously is still stuck in the ocean, but wherever there's water, it could appear once more. Although those are the only sworn enemies that we get to see currently in these arcs, we can still speculate and try and guess what other cast members' sworn enemies could be. As for Kun, I would say most likely it's either Maria or his mother. I can't see it being someone outside of the Kun family, so it's got to be one of his relatives, and I think those two we know a bit of information with, but we need to expand on them and learn a bit more. If it was someone outside the family though, I would probably have to guess maybe this guy from season 1 of the webtoon and anime. He gave Kun a bit of a hard time and made him have a mental struggle. I don't want it to be Rachel. I think that'll be boring and bland. I want the sworn enemies to be able to expand and develop the characters forward that we currently have. Give us a bit more backstory to some of the characters through their sworn enemies. I think this would be a great way to do so. As for a character like Hogwin, I think it would be his father, if that's even possible. I don't know if the Hidden Floor can create one of the family, 10 great family leaders, but based on the information that we currently know about Hogwin, I feel like his father would be his sworn enemy, because that's his goal. He wants to take down his father one day. However, when it comes to characters like Boro and Sashi Faker and Hokni, these characters really don't have a lot to contribute to the main story, as their roles have already been mostly completed. At least for Sashi and Boro, their sworn enemy before the Hell Train would have been Hokwen. That we can kind of say for definite. But I don't think the Hidden Floor could create multiple sworn enemies of the same person. Even if a person is actually Data already or alive on this floor, I don't think the floor could do that. I think that'll be a bit too overpowered and broken. Can you imagine having a situation where both Boro and Sashi Faker have Hoquin as their sworn enemy, and we now have like 3 Hoquins on the same floor. 2 of them Data, of course, and the other one being the real Hoquin that gets sucked in with everybody else. As for Hogni, I don't really know. I mean, his only plot thread left is his story, his puzzle, his picture. He needs to find that missing piece. But at the same time, we don't really have anything like his enemy or anything about his character, really. His main conclusion was done on the floor of death. All is left now is that painting. So I don't think we're going to see one from him, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Saying that though, 3 characters I am looking forward to seeing their sworn enemies of, if we're going to see him at all, would be Yuri Jihad, because I think that would be awesome. Wangnam, because that would open up a plethora of story avenues we can go down towards. And of course, Kun is one I'm really looking forward to seeing. Like I said, all of which could help build the characters up. It could help give us a sneak peek as to what's to come in their respective character stories in the future. However, I want to ask you as the audience member watching this video, who in the world of fiction is your sworn enemy? It can be anybody you like, as long as it's from the world of fiction. Anime, movies, films, light novels, manga, games, anything goes. For me personally, I would either say the God of Time Kronos from the Tales of Xillia 2 games, or Caius Ballard from the Final Fantasy XIII Part 2. Both characters gave me some irritating fights in their respective boss battles, and yeah, I mean, I managed to beat Kronos, the God of Time, in Xillia. Never actually beat Gaius in the final. Gonna hold my hands up to that. But yeah, let me know yours in the comments down below. But let's go back to my thoughts on the Tower of God. So with Hungsang Yu returning in the form of Data, this opens up a plethora of character interactions that we can see in the future. As we as the reader know, our main cast has a past of negativity when it comes to Hungsang Yu's character in the future. Now we have to see whether or not our heroes can overcome their skepticalness and trust what he is telling them in order to proceed on to the next stages. Granted, some of his actions and phrases do raise a few red flags throughout this arc, as he seems to have prior knowledge that Bam and Dorsey would arrive in the quarantine area exactly as they did. Plus, he seems to know about Bam's ultimate goal in reaching the young Jihad's Data and taking him down. As well as the fact is, he mentions the name V. Now, I did start to wonder if the Data version of Hungsang Yu had been searching and found V in this virtual world. But then he mentioned that the person he was searching for was nowhere to be seen. And later on, we learned the fact that the Data of the 12 travelling companions of Jihad, only one of them currently remains. Overall, I really did like seeing this character return in the form of Data, as it does offer a bit more insight into Hungsang Yu's former personality, acting slightly cocky and loving the thrill of an adventure, while retaining his smarts and his skills, and of course, like I mentioned, offering up some great character interactions and comedy. Now, finding out about the Big Breeders was amazing, as they already feel more like an antagonist than Heljo ever did. Seeing how their sole purpose is to rule over and govern the Data that lives on these different stages, while their real world bodies lay in hiding in another virtual world, the hidden floor. A world created by having 2 mirrors faced each other. So in order for them to carry out their duties as the Big Breeders, they must create a clone avatar of themselves in order to jump from the hidden floor to the hidden floor to carry out their duties as overseeing the Data on those different stages. But not all is positive for the Big Breeders in that hidden floor area, as they are essentially trapped, caged if you will, inside the hidden floor, unable to defy Jihad's orders. So that's why we see the one that Rachel interacts with really wanting to leave and kind of do his own thing, but at the same time he knows if he tries to act out of place the young Data of Jihad will act and deal with him swiftly. So, with knowing this information, the only real source of entertainment is to torment those they watch over. This was showcased through the character of Baptiste, a Data human who witnessed the cruel actions of a big breeder firsthand. He then wrote a song about it and sang of the events that transpired, so that no one would ever forget. After all, after a certain amount of time, the big breeders would wipe the memories of the Data humans living on the different stages. The events that followed forced Baptiste from his home to the quarantine area, away from his wife. His mouth was ripped apart so that he would never be able to sing again, and his daughter was cursed with a curse over the mouth area to avoid her ever talking properly in the future. All of this was placed upon him by a big breeder that we get introduced to in these arcs. This big breeder found out about Baptiste and his song, and in the end, Baptiste, fueled by rage, with the intent to kill the big breeder, and, of course, the tactics of a big breeder assisting him, an accident occurred in where Baptiste killed his own wife. Even if his wife didn't remember who he was, he knew all the way through. Honestly, I felt sorry for this character. Even though he wasn't human, his emotions and memories and actions were very human-like. You really do get to see the pain and despair sinking into this character as he tried to go on to this journey. He does end up following our main crew and helping them forward, but at the same time, you know, he knows that the dangers that lie ahead. He knows that his wife is dead or dying. But that fuel for revenge, that desire to take down the big breeders, is what's going to drive him forward. And damn, Rachel's looking mighty fine in that new avatar body. Not something I thought I would say, but here we are. She wakes up in the room with a big breeder's real body in a hidden floor. She then tricks her way into entering the Data world with Bam and the others as an avatar who had the name of Icarus, maybe symbolizing a possible burning of Rachel's character, as Icarus in mythology flew too close to the sun, thus burning his wings. She doesn't really do much in this arc, but again, she has a situation in where she's inserting herself into the plot and story narrative. So something big is definitely going to follow her character in the future moving forward, as she searches for Yuha and her other teammates. One small detail that I really did like was when she first meets Bam, or interacts Bam, as the avatar known as Icarus. Bam was very hesitant to completely trust her from the word go, as this shows a bit more maturity and makes Bam look skeptical, which he currently is. So I do like that because, again, it's a small bit of development being shown, but it's still progress for Bam's character, especially in the mentality department. So really quick then, no Harian, as she is off getting things ready with the Fug member that she wants to basically trade for soul-stirring ladle with for the Thorn Fragment. Her refusal to enter the hidden floor, though, does strike me as a little bit odd. Maybe she has a traumatizing history that involves Jihad, and seeing even a young Data version of him would trigger some mental trauma within Harian's character. After all, we don't know anything about Harian, and I really do want to know and dive into her backstory and learn why she's aligned herself with Fug. Now we do know the reason as to why Jin Sun Ha, Bam's master, we know why he wanted to join Fug. He had a wife that died before he joined that organization. And you know what? We know about him. Why don't we know about this redhead guide that has been with Bam all this time? She's still a mystery, but we still love her character nevertheless. The only negative points I have, again, with this arc is Boro, Sashi Faker, and Hokuni. They really didn't do much of anything, especially Boro's character. So I do kind of wish that soon we get to replace these characters and get some new characters that we can work on developing and moving forward. Plus, those outfits that the Kun and the team wears, they look awful. Not gonna lie, I hate them. So then, after finding the true path within darkness, Well, the good and evil meter that they have on them kind of goes full black or full dark, revealing the true path. That was a secret that Hungsang Yu managed to explain at the end. We set off in search for Kun Eden, the only remaining great family leader. This should be awesome. More specifically, seeing Kun's reaction. After all, as he hears that name for the first time, he gets a very shocked reaction. And quickly on Kun's character, he does have a lot of positive emotions in this arc. He's always smiling and happy, and he enjoys the thrill of this game that is occurring. Overall, I thought these were some great arcs to kind of start this Hidden Floor journey. A set of arcs that grabbed me back into the series. After all, the Floor of Death was hyped up a lot, but I found it dragged on a little bit when I was reading the Floor of Death, so my enjoyment for the series did kind of dip a little bit. But with these latest arcs, my enjoyment has skyrocketed and I'm back in, and I can't wait to see what more exciting things get shown in later arcs. The plot is thickening up and it's gotten me hyped. The comedy was amazing, especially the stuff with Rak and the fact that no one wanted to work or even talk to Hungsang Yu, I thought was funny. Yeah, like I said, can't wait to see what lies ahead, and hopefully you've enjoyed this review. If you have, hit that like button and subscribe for more Tower of God content from me in the future. Other than that though, I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Have a great day. Alligator, matane. Goodbye.